This is Oscar Bevis for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on DAZN. Thanks for giving me some of your time, Ed. How's things?
Good, mate. Nice to see you instead of that fucking toss at Parsons. But, well done on your show on Saturday.
I was going to say, did you enjoy your weekend watching two of your prospects
I
light
did.
up
I
the
really
Centre?
enjoyed it. And, shout out to Johnny Clark and Top Tier. Looked like a great show. And, when I'm watching these shows, I'm watching and I'm learning and I'm, and one of the things I watched George's fight and Jimmy's fight in Phoenix with Frank Smith. The pace of the show was really good. Sometimes when you're doing a big show, there can be too many gaps between fights. And, they had a lot of fights to get through that night. And I quite like the fact that it was fight. Obviously, they're not running adverts and as many promos that a DAZN, would do for our shows. But, I like the fact that it was like fight, presenter, quick question, here comes another one. And we can learn from that as well. So, and for our fighters as well, it's really important. I had a conversation with Johnny this morning about another one of our fighters. And, when I look at GBM and these kind of shows as well, we can help them put fighters on their cards that sell a lot of tickets and have good profile. I'm talking about young prospects. It can give them a slot deeper on the card, but most importantly, it can give them activity. So, Jimmy's fighting this week as well. But for George, those kind of guys, because we box them on our shows all around the country. And, rather than fighting at 5 p.m. in Leeds, you can fight at 10 p.m. in your hometown. And I think the model works, and definitely something that we're going to look at for a lot of our stars to make sure that we can give them those 6-7 fights a year, when they're starting out.
Yeah, Jimmy was over the moon that he got to headline in Brentford.
Yeah.
He said, I might never do this again, and probably won't do this again, but he loved the opportunity to do so. I don't want to do a Parsons on you, right, because that's not my style, but I've got to ask you one thing. See that interview with Matchroom you done with Scott Hamilton talking about BAM, etc.? Is that a jumper with no T-shirt?
Yeah.
Jumper, no T-shirt and a chain?
I rate that because obviously it's not a jumper.
You're either hot or cold.
It's a zip-up hoodie, right? But when you're in unbelievable shape, right, and you finish in the gym and you have a sauna and you get out the ice bath,
I would never know.
And you're standing there, you're looking in the mirror, and it's hot as well at the moment, right, humid. I thought to myself, I don't even need a T-shirt under this hoodie. I'm just going to zip it up. Got a chain that I wear now.
Fans need a bit of chest. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and like you can see the line down there as well, because obviously the shape's unbelievable. And I'm just, I'm living my best life, Oscar. What can I tell you?
If anyone could do a jumper and no T-shirt, it would be you.
Thank you.
It would be you. The car. We had a little walk round. It is brilliant. I can't imagine what it's going to be like on August the 24th. And I guess for Jack, he can get carried away in a sense that he's opening a place close to his hometown. But he also has a job to do. So I guess forget about the carp life for now, because you've got a serious fighter in Regis.
Look, firstly, everybody that's come in here has just gone, wow. I was thinking that since I've started in boxing, maybe like 12, 13 years ago, the O2 was just starting out doing sort of live sporting events when I started. But since then, I think in terms of new venues, Leeds, but there's not a lot off the top of my head. And for a long time, when you do a big fight, it's Manchester Arena or O2. Now, these guys, we do a lot of business with these guys. We just did the Footprint Centre, they own that. We're doing Wells Fargo in Philadelphia, they own that. And they come to us and they said, look, we'd like you to bring boxing to the Co-op Live. And, we had the date of August 24th. Jack was coming off, the best win of his career. His stock is rising considerably in terms of big British names. And we thought we were going to do the Barboza fight. He dropped the ball. They asked for much too much money. And Regis Prograis stepped up and said, the best fights get made unexpectedly. And honestly, this is a fight that I never really thought would happen, because it's a very, very tough and dangerous fight for both men. But how good is it for boxing that rather than sit around waiting for a world title shot, you're willing to take these kind of fights? And I will make sure that the winner of this fight fights for a world title, because if there was one thing that was a little bit depressing from Taylor Catterall, was that he just realised Jack was real stitched up for that first one. Like, he should be the undisputed world champion. Like, do you realise what that can do for your life? So, and actually, ironically, the second fight was closer than the first fight. He won them both, and it was a great fight, great occasion, and he's kept his side of the deal on everything, in terms of performances, in terms of taking fights, taking risks. I say being sensible on the money. He's earned a lot of money, but you've really got to have, these days in boxing, there are some real clowns. And
in terms of getting money,
I'm talking about managers, I'm talking about advisors. You have to understand the finances of the shows, right? You also have to push for deluded money for your fighters, right? Because that's a manager's job. But there's got to be the element of you don't lose opportunities in that process. Do you know what I'm saying? Because for me, it's extremely frustrating negotiating with a manager, because obviously I'm trying to make sure the fighters are well paid, but also, of course, making sure the numbers stack up for our business. So I know what a manager's job is, and I'm willing to have those conversations. I'm willing to get frustrated. I'm willing to get pissed off, and Sam Jones does it to me all the time. But eventually, you find a middle ground that's sensible for everyone. Now, if you don't, you kind of go to the back of the queue. And where Jack's been clever is because he's pushed for, Sam's always pushed for big money for him. But we've got deals done that have enabled the activity to be there as well. And if you sit out and you sit on the fence, your commercial value drops. You don't earn any money, and you don't get opportunities for big fights. So, it's a bit of a wild time at the moment for boxing. But you've just got to be smart in the game to make sure that you are a priority, you are active, and you've got to work with people you trust. We're not going to underpay fighters, but we're going to give them the market value for their career, for the commercial profile, and for the event. Sometimes we're going to overpay them, because I've done it a lot recently as well. But that's okay. You live and you learn. And sometimes for the next fight, that money's not there. But good luck to him. But Jack's been smart with his career, and got to a stage where he wanted to be active. And I want the winner of this fight. I think the winner of this fight should be mandatory for the WBO, for Teofimo Lopez. And also, I think if we don't get that fight, I want to push the winner of this fight to fight Liam Paro. The winner of this fight must fight for the World Championship, and I will make sure they do.
Yeah. You talk about smart moves, so is Catterall Taylor 3 not a smart move then?
Yeah,
it is in Bob Arum's eyes, but you
Bob
said about
said he wouldn't let any of his fighters.
He's going to say that.
Bob said he wouldn't let any of his fighters fight on a British show anymore. So what can I say? But look, when Jack Catterall, basically everyone's opinion, won the first fight, Bob never mentioned number 2. He never said that Jack Catterall was hard done by. How big would the rematch be? He just dismissed it. So I like Josh Taylor, and I think the third fight has a lot of juice and it has a lot of value. But the absolute priority for Jack Catterall right now is to get him what he deserves, and that's a shot at the world title. Now, he's got to come through Regis, and if he doesn't, Regis will be getting a shot at that world title. But listen, massive respect to both for just putting it on the line. Like, this is what we want. And by the way, if you get beat, you come back and you have another great fight against a top 15 140 pounder. I've got loads of them.
Yeah. You mentioned Bob Arum not wanting his fighters on British shows anymore. What about his ex-fighters, Mr. Shakur Stevenson? I know he would be an American asset for you. He said he's a free agent after the weekend. I'd love to see him over. He's one of my favourite fighters, and I know you were going to be so interested.
I've said before, I can't praise him highly enough. Pound for pound quality.
Have you spoken at all?
Not to Shakur, but I've spoken to his people. They want to talk, and we're definitely willing to have those conversations. I don't think commercially he's anywhere near where he should be, because what happens with Bob and Top Rank, they kind of give up. And I don't necessarily blame them, because when a fighter comes out saying, I'm off at the end of this fight, you're not going to make him a priority, are you, at the same time? So Shakur is making a lot of money. And I joked with Bob. I said, I'm not paying him the kind of money you pay him. And he told everybody that, and that was kind of tongue-in-cheek. But there is an element of truth to that, because the fight has to deliver value. So I might not pay Shakur that kind of money to fight someone you've never heard of. But I will pay him that kind of money and more for big fights and fights that do draw. But I think promotionally, he needs a job done on him. And he has to buy into that as well, Jaron Ennis bought into that. Look at him now. One of the top stars in the sport, about to do 15,000 in his hometown next week. Look at Bam Rodriguez. People talk about, they don't know how to build these fights. Like, no one's doing what we're doing in America. Yep, every now and again, people are doing the odd big show. We're doing consistently, 9,000 in Puerto Rico, 9,000 last week at the Footprint, 13,000 or whatever it will be next week in Philadelphia. Like we are being aggressive, we're being ambitious, and we're building fighters, and we got a great stable, and we would love to add Shakur Stevenson to that.
Talk about numbers. How many does Mr. Froch and AJ do?
What, as a fight? Yeah, I don't think we don't want to be
Wembley
seeing
attendance
that.
record?
Yeah, no, but I just
Do you think they'll cross paths anytime soon?
Yeah, probably.
In this boxing world, it is quite a small world, boxing. I'm sure at some point those two
but
will
I
cross
don't.
paths.
The last thing you want is those two crossing paths because they're two greats. So
Would anything actually happen between the pair, though?
I mean, they're fighters, but it's all like at the end of the day that Froch has not made a beeline for AJ, but he has, in my opinion, given him an unfair rap over time. Because the thing is with Carl, he kind of doubles down on stuff. So it starts out, and then AJ responds, and then Carl doubles down. You saw it, Frank Warren and Carl. They go back, and the more they go back, the more he doubles down on stuff because it becomes relevant for his channel and everything like that. And he's very stubborn, Carl. No, that's that's not a weakness, but it's also one of his strongest attributes in terms of why he was such a great fighter. Because he's so
If he was wrong, he would never admit so.
Yeah, that's the problem. So right now, it's too late to have a sensible conversation with Carl. Say, Carl, come on, because I've shared amazing times with them both, and I'm very fond of them both. So I don't like to see it, in all honesty. But listen, it's not the first time, and it won't be the last.
Yeah, it was exciting seeing the clip of AJ and Daniel come out. I know there was people talking about it at the press conference, and we wanted to see the actual clip. I just want to know from your perspective if you thought that was, I use the word real from Daniel Dubois. Because I feel like once AJ got into that mode, it was he perhaps got his back up a bit and went. I kind of didn't really mean what I said.
I think that they've got into Dubois over the time of you've got to do more, you've got to say more. Like the line was quite random. Like it was a good chat actually, and it was quite a compelling chat, and it was a convincing chat from both. And then it was like Frank went, "No, save it for the 21st. Good luck." And Daniel went, "Well, you can swing for me now if you want." And it was like, "Where's that come from?" And then it was like, but that's the kind of thing that does. You got to understand.
Frank gave him the little code.
Yeah, but no. I think that Daniel's just in the mood now for saying more, and it was the wrong thing to say. But he can say what he wants. I thought it was great. I mean, it just shows you the bad intentions that's in this fight. It's a massive fight, two huge punches, and September 21st is going to be colossal.